The Wellness Show, episode 103. And by the way, watch right to the end. We have a special offer for everyone.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyhson Banighen, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more.
We can also ask, we want to eliminate the pollutants that cause us to be physiologically or mentally distracted. So there are herbal teas, there's coffee, there's Pepsi, there's all these different foods plus things that are in foods that all have an effect. And one of the things that we can do to help be in that state of more alertness and more happiness is notice the effects of what we eat. Most people just eat. They wolf it down today. I feel like eating X, and I'll go to McDonald's, I'll go to Burger King today. I'm going to make a steak today. But notice how you feel after you eat. Notice an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, how you feel after you eat. If you like it, do more. If you don't like it, do less. If you eat something and you find that then you sleep for 3 hours afterwards, if you have insomnia, that may be a good thing. But if it's, the morning and you're trying to get some work done, maybe that's something you want to. But notice the influence of food. Notice how that affects you. And that can help also help you move towards whatever it is that you want in life.
So are you
offer something?
So are you saying that, well, I'll put it in different words, see if I've got it. So one of the hot tips around all this is that, your body has got, the only way it can communicate with you in many cases is pleasure or pain. So the body has a message for you when it comes to what you eat or what you drink, or even if you exercise or don't exercise. So pain is an indication that there's a message that the body wants you to discover. And what you're saying with regard to the food is, if you feel heavy, then maybe you don't eat as much as that. But if you feel light and airy and buoyant after that, then that's the food that's going to sustain you. And it's part of managing your energy system as we become more enlivened, more quickened, that certain foods will appeal to us and keep that, let's call it happiness quota or quotient, more vibrant in our bodies, where other foods will lessen that or dull it down. And an interesting counterpart to that is water as well. I know you're a big, proponent of drinking water, but with an elderly lady, they found that her whole, not just her metabolism, but her whole way of being in the world, her anger and everything went up. And what they found out is that most of it had to do because she's dehydrated. Give her some water, and what? She was as happy as could be. So again, a lot of our moods, a lot of our emotions, a lot of what we think are something that somebody's doing to us, or that we are bad, rotten, and wrong, are the fact that we are not aware that we have a body to manage that's trying to communicate with us. And when we give the body what we want, voila, we feel great.
Exactly that, and I'm glad you brought that up about the emotions, because I wanted to say it's not just the pleasure or pain. It's not, hey, I feel great, this is lovely, let me have a lot more of this, because we all know that there's detrimental drugs that can give you a momentary, but in the long range it has some derogatory experience in the physiology. So we want to, use our knowledge as well, but you're exactly right with the emotions. When I say notice how you feel, an hour, 3 hours later, it's not just, do I feel pain? Do I have indigestion? Is there something that needs to attend to? Or do I feel depressed? I had a friend who, back in the, however long ago, yogurt, somebody recommended yogurt to him. And it took him a while to figure out, but it made him suicidally depressed.
Wow.
And it took him a while to figure out that's what it was that was causing it, because he wasn't thinking that I'm depressed because of food. He was just thinking I'm depressed, and then somehow there's that connection. And that's what we want to make is everyone is one's own responsibility. If you want to have a personally fulfilling year, have one. If you don't want to have one, don't have one. But if you decide to have one, own it. Take responsibility. You monitor what you allow in. You know, we talked about we let go of crap that doesn't serve us anymore. We notice the things that bring us joy, that bring us happiness, that help us be more personally fulfilled. We maybe learn some meditation technique or some process, something so that we can connect to source, whether we do Einstein's thing or we do something else, or whether we just take some quiet time in the woods or something. We do some correcting things. We notice the synchronicity if we choose to do it. We choose to be happy. And then we look for those things that make us happy. And then we start taking responsibility. Am I angry? Well, I have friends who, you know, you mentioned this person who had water. I have friends who high-end, high-quality chocolate used to they used to go get furious if they ate. Interestingly enough, they could eat the cheap chocolate, no problem. But the high-end chocolate made them angry. And they realized that that's what, you know, if you're sitting around and everything's going fine, and suddenly you're angry for no apparent reason, where did that come from? Something inside, some imbalance inside, that falls in the category of pain, something to attend to. And you're right, I'm very big on water. People would be surprised how often a negative emotion can be dissolved by simply having a glass of water, and have it seasonally appropriate, no ice and no steam for this purpose. Because water that's like body temperature or very close to body temperature, maybe a little warming in winter, a little, not, you know, maybe room temperature water in summer. But water that's that temperature actually washes the emotional body, completely washes the emotional body. So if somebody's feeling some depressed or anger or some negative thing, very often just a glass of water, 5-10 minute lie down, completely change it. But people need to own their responsibility. They're used to, yeah, does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I'd like to go back to that that time between time, or the no time. That's my way of trying to explain what you were saying with the experiment that Einstein used to bridge the gap between the intellectual mind and the intuitive mind by falling asleep on the pencil and being woken up to that crack between time. Don Juan talks about that as being a magical time between sunset, and just at sunset, the crack between worlds, he calls it, or waking up, where he says you can make a choice where you want to wake up, literally, physically. You could show up in another dimension or another place if your thoughts are there. I know I've had similar experiences like that. It can be a bit scary coming out of meditation because I'm not sure whether I'm at home or I'm at somebody else's home, or where am I and where do I really want to wake up? It really becomes a decision about where am I. And so, I mean, we are where our thoughts are physically. Our body, all of our being is almost totally there. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic, you know, of manifestation at one place to another. But that crack between zones or between worlds, or sleep and not asleep, or the in-breath and the out-breath and holding the breath, that space between, let's call it the null zone or the 0 point, that's the magic. And in that, there is no time, there is no space, there's an infinitude that's possible in that moment. So do you have any other hot tips other than getting out my pencil and trying to stay awake and go to sleep? I know that through meditation, there's different techniques as well, right?
Yeah. The whole thing with TM is that it's transcendental meditation. and is that it's a systematic technique to get to that state. So here's, I appreciate what you're saying about waking up in different times, and it isn't that we're where the mind is, or that we wake up where the mind is. It's we wake up where we expect to be, which is not quite the same thing. Mm-hmm. Just a little subtle thing. It's where we expect to be. The expectation brings it out. Wow, there's so much stuff I can tell you about this. Let me think what's the most useful for your audience. Let's go back and let's stick with the theme of a personally fulfilling year. Let's go back to the idea of synchronicity, and let's also this idea of being in the moment and noticing what's presented around you. Modern science and unified field theory, whether they've agreed on one, the bottom line is they get it. Everybody gets it. We're not sure which one is the right one, but there is something underlying everything that is not anything. Mm-hmm. That's the potential. That's the pure potential. In the same way that the sap is colorless and unmanifest in the flower, but yet it gives rise to the red rose, the flat petals, the green stem that's hard and round. All these different qualities come from something that has no qualities to it whatsoever. And all of our experiences come from just what you're saying, that key point. One could say that all of dream, all of waking, all of sleep come from that little junction that, Einstein went through, that everything springs from that fountain of that. And in Vedic literature, in terms of consciousness or spirituality, Lord Christ called it the kingdom of heaven within. Different people at different times have called it different things. Satchidananda, pure consciousness, unbounded awareness, my own self, whatever it is, it's Eckhart Tolle talks about it a particular way. It's that which we truly are. At the basis of what we are, we're total potentiality, fully awake, total possibility. The best analogy ever is the white screen in a movie theater. And if somebody walks into the movie theater while the movie's going on and they see bullets flying and flames and beautiful roses and people falling in love, and they see all these constantly merging and constantly shifting colors, they're going to believe that that's what the reality is. They're going to say, well, what reality is all of this stuff is constantly changing. And they're correct. But what we want to point out is, have you noticed they're all taking place in one spot? Have you noticed they're all on this big rectangular thing? Have you noticed that there's something that's underlying and supporting it? And if we turn it off, there's a white screen there, but you don't see the white screen unless you turn it off. But the truth is, it's there all along, and we want to be able to notice it. So there's TM, and there's all these other techniques that can get someone to that state. And in that state, one can first of all experience it in a transitory way, and then one can actually stabilize it because it's actually naturally who we are, covered over by all these experiences. And in that state, one is completely in bliss all the time. It's undifferentiated, it's pure energy, it's pure wakefulness, it's pure bliss. And then you have that with all the experiences. It's a very different world. And this is a completely natural state. And throughout time, there have been people who have just fallen into this with no idea how they got there, because it's a completely natural state. So you have, I think, Christopher Isherwood, and you have all these people who talk about it. Yogananda talks about his learning to meditate and getting it in Autobiography of Yogi. A friend of mine, Craig Pearson, who's vice president of Maharishi University of Management in Fairfield, wrote a book, and I will have to find the name for your people, but he just went through all these different experiences of poets and artists and writers and everything throughout the world, and he just found, hundreds of references where people describe this. William Wordsworth describes it in one thing, and I don't even remember so many others, but they talk about this process of finding that awareness within themselves. And it's the Holy Grail. It's the one that if we have that, we have everything. And people should do something, whatever it is, to ask for it, pray for it, get guidance to let it come into their life. So, again, I'm big on TM. It's very systematic. It works well. Some people like some of the other things. There's all this brainwave research and physiological research now. You can compare the different types of meditation. I will, in general, say that you want to find something that gives you the results. You want to find something that works for you personally, that you feel better, not psychologically, oh, I'm doing something, but you actually feel better and you start feeling more in that synchronicity. And I apologize, I should let you say something, but I want to get to this one thing. And that is this idea of synchronicity and everything, and finding what we're looking for. But I want to go back to this idea of synchronicity and back to the idea of waking up, deciding where you wake up.
Right.
Okay. We talked about how there's this idea of when you fall asleep, you can hit that junction point, the space between the null, whatever you want to call it. You can hit that. But here's something that we want people to remember is you can do that anywhere. You can fall asleep anywhere. You can fall asleep on the space station, in a submarine, in the Eiffel Tower. You can fall asleep in an elevator, in a car, in a train, in a plane. You can fall asleep in a bed. You can fall asleep in the North Pole. You could, if they shipped you to Mars, do you honestly think that if you were on Mars or the moon or some other, you think you wouldn't be able to fall asleep? Of course, and I'm not concerned with insomnia. I'm talking about the possibility. You can fall asleep. You can fall asleep anywhere. Somebody can fall asleep. Once you're asleep, you're where you are. Someone looking at your body who's in waking state, looking at your body, you're in the room that you're in. You, however, can be having a very real experience in the dream state where you're in a jungle hunting tigers, you're in a spaceship, submarine, you're absolutely anywhere. And to whatever extent the clarity of your dreams are, more or less all of the senses are there. All of everything is actually there. You don't say, you may say it's a dream. You may be aware it's a dream, but while you're going through it, the emotions are kicking in, the responses are kicking in. If you're being chased by angry pygmies, or if, you're going to run, there's all kinds of things. You don't question whether it's there or not. Now, here's the interesting thing about this, Tyhson, and how we tie it in with synchronicity and this idea that everything is there. If this entire world can be created in your experience, then that means that the potential is where you are right now for literally anything, because you can dream anything. You can dream anything. So physically where you are right now, even though we may feel we're separate, we're actually still on that big screen that the movie is being projected on. We may be in a lower corner, but we're actually connected to things that are everywhere. And because we're on top of that white screen, using that analogy, any colors, any combination of experiences can be projected there, which means, yeah, you do have the ability to wake up wherever you want to wake up, whenever you want to wake up. That all possibilities exist in every point in time and space, because they all have their basis on that white screen, on that unified field, on that consciousness, on whatever. So how do you access that? So the first thing is that what that means is everything you're looking for either already exists in your immediate surroundings or has the potential through your own mind and perception to be created where you are. So when we talk about problem solving, again, just this idea of falling back and opening up to, is it here? Where's the solution? There's a test for something called field independence. And then I want to get back to answer your other thing. And I apologize for over talking. There's a couple tests for field independence. And just to give the idea that solutions are already around us. You go into the room, and whoever's administering the test says, here's a bar, and it's this long, and we want you to wedge it up in the doorway so it stays in the door. But it's this much shorter than the door. And you know, there are people who are just going to go up and they're going to try it 2 or 3 times, and it can't be done. Absolutely can't be done. And then you know people who will come up and do other things. Well, it turns out that on the desk that you're facing, the person's asking you the question from the other side, there is a bottle with a big piece of rubber stopper that is exactly the right size, that if you apply it, it will hold it up in place. Plus, you can pick up a couple books. There's all kinds of things that you can do to solve the problem that are already there. So when we talk about, and now we're getting into the thing about, can you become enlightened just by saying I'm enlightened? Can I fulfill what I want just by fulfilling it? It depends how awake you are to start with. If you're the person who's going to try the pole 2 or 3 times, not look around and say, that's it, you're going to have a frustrating life because you're not open enough to what's around. You need to look at, first of all, you need to have the faith that whatever you're being presented with, the solution is already present within the problem. It's like the teacher's giving you the answers as they're giving you the test. Your job is to find it. And this idea of just being silent within and looking around and looking within and asking for the answer is a powerful technique. It's a powerful tool for personal development, for having a personally fulfilling year. When you don't know the answer, you go within. You just call on whatever the divine that you want to call on, God or Lord Christ or whatever works for you, Buddha, Shankara, Shiva, it doesn't matter. Whoever works for you, whoever warms your heart. You go back and you fall on that and you just, here's this problem. What do I do? And it may not even be what do I do. Sometimes it's like, here's the problem. Fix it. If there's an action step, let me know what it is. But that's a fabulous way to move forward. When we come up, whenever we find ourselves struggling, we just determine this, come back to ourselves, come back to the wholeness within, and let synchronicity solve it for us. You know, sometimes you just have to stand and wait and let the traffic go by, and the lights change, and then you can go.
Yeah, what was difficult in the moment before is no longer difficult.
Exactly.
But going back to that idea, I mean, I keep wanting to use the word surrender, and you said, no, it's really not surrender.
I said, I don't use that word. You can use it. It works for you,
I know,
Tyson.
but I'm trying to move beyond surrendering is really getting out of my ego that somehow I have to solve everything and it's my problem and I created it for my own edification and blah, blah, and it's just a story.
Yeah,
if I let go of all that, and just say, hey, I'm part of the infinite whole and therefore I'm connected to Source. Source already has the answer. I wouldn't have the problem. Like you said in the first place, I'm willing to have the answer present itself in the synchronicity of the next moment. Boom, it's going to happen. So that's what I mean by surrender. But you had a different word for it, and I'd like to learn the word that you use. How did you express it again?
Well, I just, let go. Give it to somebody who can solve it for you.
Oh, okay. Give it upstairs. As you said, it's not your job in your job description. It's not your pay level.
Yeah, just how I'm not so in love with that phrase, even though I said I'm not so in love with that, because it is your job to be your life, So for those people who love challenges, and goodness knows there are many of them, those, Einstein and all, you can't tell me Einstein wasn't loving it when he was solving these incredibly intricate things. The exploring the intricacies of the universe is incredibly fulfilling and incredibly fascinating to us and to the divine. It's very cool. But, some of the problems, and so for those people who love that, great, more power to them. Looking into the mechanics of how certain things work out and all that, very fulfilling. But in terms of, but even for them, as Einstein said, sometimes it's just like, this is very cool, I want to understand it. How do I do it? I'm giving it, just show me. That's it. I don't know. I'm stumped. You stumped me. What's the answer? And that's a fabulous way to do it.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a really good hot tip to move into 2017, is to just know that can happen, that synchronicity is available in every single moment, with every breath, in the stillness of surrender, let go, or just be, however we want to describe it. There it is.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing that we want to address, and that is, how messy is the house? So,
all right, I'm going to interrupt you. We got 2 minutes to wrap this up with all those wonderful ideas that you have to help us be so focused and make 2017 an awesome year. So
choose what you want to be. And then, having chosen what you want to be, you want to be happy, you can be happy. Do that technique of, here's what I want. I want to be happy. I want to be fulfilled. I want to be wealthy. I want to be loved. I want to be loving. Choose what you want to do, and then spend 5 minutes a day. Close your eyes, whether it's after meditation or before bed or first thing in the morning. Contact the divine within you. Ask for it. It's this.
all right, we've got 1 minute to go. So how do people get to work with you, David? How do they get to do the next step with you?
I have a whole bunch of stuff on davidadelson.com. There's a whole bunch of downloadable. We've created all these amazing frequencies that you can play on your iPhone or iPod or whatever you want to do. Play these on your computer that can help you move along, and they cover everything. They cover wealth, love, whatever. So go to davidadelson.com. I know, Tyson, you have a lot on your own website of my stuff. Thank you. They should go to your place. And we have a new website called infinitealaddin.com, and we're just putting a lot of new tips. It's brand new. We have like 1 or 2 things up so far. It's not a sales site. It's just information block. And people can go to infinitealaddin.com also.
David, it was a pleasure. It was great to have you on the show. It's great to bring these tips for everybody to go into the next year with bliss. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Tyson. I always love talking to you. Some great things always come out that I learned, so it's fun. So we'll talk soon.
Bye for now.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Hey, thanks for watching right through to the end. We do appreciate you here at The Wellness Show. And to show our appreciation at this wonderful time of year, we're going to be giving away a $50 gift certificate over the next 12 episodes. And at the end of the 12 episodes, we'll be giving a $500 grand prize gift certificate that you can spend at either the Wellness Store or the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Now, how do I get in to win this? Simple. Like, share, comment, or subscribe to our channel, and then come over to our Facebook page, The Wellness Show, and let us know that you did so. While you're there, you can also comment and enter into the conversation about the current episode and have answers back from Tyson and the people that were interviewed. So again, like, comment, share, subscribe, and tell us you did so on the Facebook page, and we'll enter you in to win a $50 gift certificate, 12 of those, or the $500 grand prize gift certificate to be spent at the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy or the Wellness Show.